And we're back. So, having had our big discussion about the Colts and Brady's retirement, um, Kylie, a lot more happened to the NFL this week, right?
A lot more. It's been
A lot.
crazy.
So, we are going to talk about the conference championship games, and we will talk about the matchup finally being settled for Super Bowl 56. But first, we got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of NFL news to talk about. And here's something that's interesting: the Broncos are up for sale. The
Yeah.
Bowen family is selling the Broncos.
I heard like before the season even started this year that Manning was looking to actually buy the Broncos.
Which
Because
Manning, though?
Peyton, the one that played
I
for
like
him.
that. I like that.
But I don't. It wasn't gonna be Peyton himself. I think it was gonna be like all the Manning family, or just Peyton, and he was gonna not just be him. It was gonna be a group of people, and they were gonna buy it and all that.
Could we get like the Mannings to like buy the Giants too? I mean, based on recent news, probably they should.
Yeah, speaking of that with Brian Flores, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I
So
can't.
it's so for anyone listening who hasn't been caught up to date, Brian Flores, former coach of the Dolphins, is suing the NFL on account of violating the Rooney Rule, which states that NFL teams have to interview at least one minority candidate for head coaching position. And he's alleging that the Giants basically had already selected Brian Dabble to be their new head coach, but were still going to interview him anyway as like a sham interview so that they could fulfill the Rooney Rule. His evidence for this were screenshots of text between him and Bill Belichick, where Belichick is like sending him like a congrats on getting hired, and Flores says, "Hey Bill, did you mean to send this to me or to Brian Dabble?" And Bill Belichick says, "Oh crap, my bad, bro. My eyesight is getting to me." So we can thank Bill Belichick having a senior moment for this story getting leaked. Um,
Absolutely.
there was,
It's just kind of. I don't know. It's all crazy. There's so many teams involved with this, and
yeah,
especially with Miami offering him $100,000 in the tank for two a year to tank for Tua
that
every
is
loss.
that right there is exactly why I hate the concept of tanking because
Hmm.
what does that say to the culture? No wonder players were so desperate to get out of Miami. The owner straight up was telling them you need to lose. Like that's why I hate the concept of tanking. Is it worth it in the long run? Probably not. The Dolphins haven't been able to make the playoffs since getting Tua. A lot of that has been for the fact that the AFC's gotten really competitive. But on the other hand, it's like you wasted an entire season where you could have, it's this there's this weird idea, this weird concept in running sports where if you don't get a player like in the first round of a draft, it's over. You're not going to be successful. And you completely ignore the fact that sometimes the best players can be found in like the seventh round, such as, the guy's jersey I'm wearing right now. That's beside the point. The main point of this, of course, is the fact that Brian Flores is alleging that the NFL basically screwed him over. And the just the amount of it's still developing,
Yeah.
but the fact that the NFL straight up came out like an hour after this and basically said like, oh, this is a load of BS. We didn't with a load of BS. As instead of people, I had a guy point out that they took longer to respond to Deflategate and actually started a whole investigation about that. Here, they're just straight up saying, "Oh no, we didn't do anything wrong." Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it is still an ongoing thing. And I don't want to, obviously, it's a very sensitive topic.
Yeah,
And I don't want to, go hardcore on either side, obviously, and or say anything that is ends up being incorrect and everything just turns out to be wrong and one of the other side is correct. And I don't want to say anything about it too much and to that extent right now.
yeah,
um I'd rather wait for everything to be brought up to the surface and everything just come out in the open so we can really see what happened.
yeah, yeah. Like it's we're not jumping to conclusions here. It's
Absolutely
just
not.
if what turns out is true, this is is bad.
It's awful.
It I wouldn't be surprised if it came out as true, but
I
I mean,
wouldn't either,
yeah,
especially the Miami thing. But I am the type of person that wants all the facts in front of me that I can read, I can look at, I can watch
yeah,
before making, especially like on, on a podcast where people are listening. For people listening, I would rather give my opinion when I know more about it.
yeah.
It's only
And
right for the people listening.
what has been alleged so far, obviously, we talked about it a little bit, but we're not going to go into super detail about it just yet until more information comes out. At the end of the day, like, we're not here to spread gossip. We're not here to pull a
Right.
TMZ. We're not trying to be TMZ. We're
No.
just talking about what's been revealed so far, and so far
We're
what's been
just
revealed.
fans talking about the sports that we love.
Yeah, but again, this is one of those topics that you got to be really sensitive about, and
Hmm.
also, if what comes out is true, this is a scandal that I think the NFL is really going to need to address, because
Immediately.
there's going to be massive changes, because something like this is seriously, like, it's really bad. There's like 3 franchises involved in it. Denver's involved in it. Um, the Giants, of course, and the Dolphins. So all 3 of those franchises are going to be on the hot seat.
It can maybe even more at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, like,
It can destroy franchises and their images. I mean,
yeah,
it's gonna be
no.
insane.
So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But we will continue to fill you, our loyal viewers, in on our loyal listeners on more information as it comes out.
Yeah.
Before we move on to actually recapping the conference championship games, a couple more NFL tidbits of news. Josh McDaniels is back
Heard
for
that
round
before.
2 as a head coach. He's going to be the Raiders' new head coach, replacing Rich Bisaccia. I don't know about this one. Kylee, you remember what happened last time that Josh McDaniels was a head coach?
I actually don't.
So let me pull this up. I believe it was in 2009. Was it? Yes, it was. So 2009, Josh McDaniels was hired as head coach of the Denver Broncos, and they started the season 6-0. They knocked out the Patriots in overtime. This was looking like, finally one of Belichick's coordinators is going to succeed. They came out of their bye and they got crushed 30-7 by the Ravens, and they only won 2 of their final 10 games. They went 8-8. They missed the playoffs. And after a 3-9 start the next season, McDaniels was fired and went back to New England. It's one of the worst meltdowns in the history of football. And somehow the Raiders looked at this guy whose only head coaching experience is one of the most highly publicized meltdowns in football history, and thought, that's our guy.
It's the Raiders, man. What do you expect? I was actually really hoping they would stick with Bisaccia.
I was too.
Because the team seemed to love him and rally behind him, and he seemed to be a really great guy.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
But I want to see what's gonna happen with Derek Carr.
Yeah, Rich Bisaccia does not deserve that. No. He got that team to the playoffs after they went through one of the most brutal and exhausting seasons a team has ever faced.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they lost in the playoffs. They weren't getting past Cincinnati. That Cincinnati team, I mean, they did their best. They made it a 1-score. They kept it a 1-score game, but Rich Bisaccia did pretty much what was expected of him and more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I get it. History says you don't always want to keep a coach that came in midseason on for another year. It doesn't usually end up well across the entirety of NFL history.
Right.
But why Josh McDaniels? It's Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. And
I'll tell you what's gonna happen. They're gonna be awful.
Yeah.
I mean, all we can hope on is that Derek Carr and that high-end talent bails him out, and I genuinely hope it does. But I'm sorry, if you have Josh McDaniels as your head coach, it's gonna get ugly, and he's gonna crawl back to the Patriots in less than a year.
If this is a failure of a season, he has no shot at a head coaching job again.
Oh, hell yeah. No,
Yeah.
no. If he can't, if this doesn't work out, like he's off the market,
Yeah,
simply put.
absolutely. He's a good offensive coordinator. Look what the Patriots did with Mac Jones, but
Yeah. That's where he should stay.
yeah,
Simply put.
it all works for them. Maybe we'll see. That one's gonna be interesting to see. But the one I'm excited to talk about is the new Commanders.
Oh yeah, the commies. Hail to the commies.
No,
Hail
it's
for all DC.
no, it's we are the Commanders. Bum 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 bum.
Oh God. Okay. So I like the name. Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just for context, Redskins finally announced their new name, or Washington announced their new name, Washington Commanders. Would it have been my first choice? No. I like Washington Warriors, Washington Generals. Actually, no, not Generals, Warriors. Is it terrible? No, it's not terrible. It's led to already a ton of great memes about their nickname being the commies, which I just love.
Gotta love
Is
the
it better
memes.
than Washington football team? Yeah. Is it
Yeah.
better than a racial slur as their name? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. But a nickname is not what makes a team. You know why nobody gave a shit about the Redskins name for years? Because they were always good. You know, from like the 70s to the mid 90s, Washington was always a contender.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only when they got bad under Dan Snyder that people started to realize, like, hey, Bill, you ever notice that our name is kind of a racial slur for Native Americans? You know what, Ted? I never noticed that. Huh.
Never
Maybe
noticed.
we should change that. If they build a winning culture, people aren't going to care what the name is.
No.
They're going to be supporting the commies until, and they are the commies, they're going to be supporting the commies until they die.
I will be okay with them once they get a new owner because I hate Dan Snyder.
Dan Snyder Dan Snyder should be put in there with Rob Manfred as permanent Goober of the week.
So far.
Yeah.
But the last thing, and I talked about this with Calvin last week on when we talked about the football team, now the Commanders, that they are a quarterback. They're a quarterback away from being a pretty decent team, and
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, more pieces and stuff like that, but a good quarterback will take them a long way. And with Jimmy G departing out of San Fran, as it came out today and yesterday, I maybe he goes to Washington. But
That
he
could
wants,
be a destination.
yeah.
Has he expressed interest in wanting to go there?
No, he said he wants to win. So that leaves out the
Ooh.
Cowboys.
I mean, you could.
but-
I mean, that division you got. I mean, Dallas is a problem, but Jimmy G's shown he knows how to take care of Dallas.
Yeah.
And
depending on what Philly does in the offseason, they got draft capital. So depending on what those two teams do, I think Jimmy could do well in Washington.
You know what? I'd like to see him there. I think it would be it would vastly increase the number of single women going to Commanders games.
I'd like to see him in Philly though. I want to see him in Philly so bad.
I know a lot of people who would like to see Jimmy G. I'd like to see Jimmy in Tampa Bay. Wait, would I? No.
Would you?
Well,
Brady's successor as the dude that tried to replace Brady in New England. You really want that?
I don't know. Maybe. With as good as I don't know. Tampa's got a lot of issues that we can talk about in the offseason to deal with. But
Free agents.
yeah, oh boy, it's gonna be difficult. And Brady's not there anymore to attract him, so everyone's gonna be like, well, I don't know if we want to go. We actually might be in trouble. Quick, let's change the subject before I start getting depressed about the future of the Bucks and talk about some actual football games. Conference championship, Super Bowl 56 is set. And we must now, as a Chiefs fan, I'm conflicted about this. I thought about it long and hard, and I've come to the conclusion that the Chiefs losing to the Bengals in the AFC title game was worth it. Because one, it allows the Chiefs to rebuild and understand their flaws,
Mm-hmm.
and two, prevents Jackson Mahomes and Brittany Matthews from being anywhere near the Super Bowl.
Thank God.
I know damn well that Patrick is only extending games to overtime because he doesn't want to go home to them, and I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, you spray champagne in the cold on like.
That's okay. If it's like New Year's, it's acceptable to do that. I've done
Yeah.
that to people on New Year's, but I did that to close friends who wanted me to because we were all drunk, not to fans at a football game, in bitter freezing temperatures because, for the lulls.
Now, for me personally, I would think it was funny and awesome, just because like all like the hype in the moment, but like obviously not everybody's like that, and
Yeah.
not everybody's gonna want that, obviously.
No, obviously not.
So like, don't do it.
It's
And then you get mad when people get mad at you for doing it. What do you expect?
Did she actually?
Yes. She's
I didn't
basically mad that she can't do whatever she wants.
Oh God, that's not how life works.
Like your husband makes $500 million within the next 10 years.
Brittany, I'm mad that I didn't get a job at NASCAR after working for 6 months to try and get one there. But you don't see me like post about it on social media. I just moved on and like started a podcast.
Exactly.
So there you go, Brittany. Start a podcast and complain about your problems here.
Start a podcast, do wonders.
Yeah, Kylie. Here's my question though. Like, what the hell happened to the Chiefs? They're up 21-10 and they blow it.
Maybe some Colts energy was in there.
They pulled a Carson Wentz.
Yeah, typical things. But
Patrick was playing like Carson Wentz in that game.
Yeah, it really was.
No offense.
Man, he makes mistakes, whatever. But I don't know what happened. It completely blew. It was what, 21-7, you said?
It was 21-3.
The 3, that's right.
It was 21-3, and they let the Bengals score right before the half. And then this is where my mom, of course, the biggest Chiefs fan in the world, had this to say about the game. If the Chiefs had just taken a knee and gone for a field goal at the end of the first half, instead of trying that weird trick play that didn't work out, they'd be up 24-10, which means on that last drive when they drove into the red zone, Harrison Butker's field goal attempt to tie the game and send it to overtime would actually have won the game for the Chiefs and sent them to the Super Bowl. Literally, just Andy Reid tried to be too fancy. Patrick Mahomes was trying to do too much, him scrambling around instead of, just downing the ball and stuff, taking time off the clock. Oh, and then the fact that they brought the guy in that they brought Walker Hayes out at halftime to sing fancy like, yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a date. Now, yeah, you knew they were losing when they played that song. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
You see Joe Burrow's outfit going into the game?
I kind of like Joe Burrow, and
love Joe Burrow.
I mean, I'm rooting against the Bengals in the Super Bowl, but I that was clean. That was clean.
It was clean.
I gotta say, go ahead.
They're making their first Super Bowl appearance since 1988.
Yeah, they it's weird. This is why I love the NFL sometimes. Literally, a franchise could just be irrelevant for years and then suddenly make a sudden run to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And they probably will just disappear afterwards. A lot of franchises do that. The great example of that probably the 1998 Falcons. They were coming off 2 straight losing seasons. They randomly made the Super Bowl and then had 2 straight losing seasons afterwards. That's just one example, but yeah.
Now, this is gonna be on Old Takes Exposed. I'm exposing myself right now. When Joe Burrow got drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, I did not think that I thought he was gonna be a bust. I really did, because he was going to the Bengals.
I did too, to be honest.
And although I love Joe Burrow, I loved his energy going into I still love his energy. Like, I love Joe Burrow. He's my favorite quarterback right now. But I just thought that him going to Cincinnati was going to be, I thought he was going to be like Trevor Lawrence is now. Not that Trevor Lawrence is a bust, but like is the organization is why he's not doing well.
I mean, it makes sense. You'd think that, like, to be fair, the Bengals still don't have a solid O-line.
They don't.
I firmly believe that Joe Burrow's brain matter is going to be splattered all over SoFi Stadium in 2 weeks because, and I say that hoping it doesn't, but like, they don't have an O-line.
They don't.
There's a reason I'm rooting against the Bengals, and it's because if they win the Super Bowl, it legitimizes teams, picking position players over offensive linemen in the draft. And look, I love that the pick on Jamar Chase worked out well, but at the end of the day, I'd still go back and redraft an offensive lineman for the Bengals because, my God, you cannot let this man is going to get killed by Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Aaron Donald, Von Miller, like
that Rams defense is going to eat him alive. And, knock on wood, but
hopefully it doesn't.
Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully the game's competitive, but
right.
So speaking of Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and the Rams, the Rams are the Bengals' opponent for the Super Bowl. They're making their fifth overall Super Bowl appearance, their first since 2018, which we don't talk about. I threw a big ass Super Bowl party in my dorm room for that, or my apartment. I was so excited, Patriots Rams. I thought it was going to be a great game.
You were excited for that?
Yeah.
You're one of the only ones I know that was.
Oh, you always get excited for the Super Bowl, no matter who's in it. But
this one
sometimes, yeah. But no, that I had 25, 30 people over, and it was bad. But yeah, it looked like for a while it was going to be San Francisco, Cincinnati round 3, because the last 2 times they met each other, they played in the Super Bowl twice before. But well, Kyle Shanahan was Kyle Shanahan, and they blew another lead.
Which it's a shame because Deebo Samuel was doing it all this year.
He put his heart and soul into that team. And
he really did, and you can tell by the sideline when OBJ went to. Speaking of which, shout out OBJ for doing that.
Oh yeah,
going over to Deebo when he was really upset about the loss on the bench.
Yeah.
It was hard to see that happen to Deebo because he's the everything guy there.
I felt really bad for him. I felt bad for 49ers fans. I mean, the 49ers were this year's Cinderella run. Every year there's that one Cinderella story team that goes farther in the playoffs than expected. They don't always make it to the championship game. They don't always make it to the Super Bowl. They usually don't. The 49ers were this year's Cinderella team, and they very nearly pulled off a miracle run.
Mm-hmm.
But it's unfortunately, in hindsight, it probably will give us a better matchup for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it did give the Rams a little bit of retribution. They ended that losing streak to the Niners, which I didn't realize was that long.
Yeah, it was a long losing streak. Like what, 6?
Yeah, so they got swept by the Niners in 2019 when San Francisco had their Super Bowl run. They got swept by the Niners last year, which didn't make sense because San Francisco was bad.
Yeah.
And they got swept by the Niners this year. So, yeah, 6 straight losses, and they finally broke it. That's good. I'm happy for them.
But yeah, of course.
These playoffs, man, have just been incredible.
Fun.
I don't think there has been, outside of the wild card round, I don't think there's been a single bad game.
Yeah, I agree. Wild card round was kind of meh, but divisional, then it's been a great playoff year, and it makes me happy to see that. So we know who you want to win because of the offensive line narrative, but who do you think is going to win?
So for Super Bowl 56, so for Super Bowl 56, Cincinnati versus Los Angeles, you've got an all-star lineup of free agents on the Rams versus Cincinnati's mostly homegrown talent. A battle between 2 great quarterbacks, one who, after a long career of padding his stats in Detroit, finally gets a chance to show that he is legit, versus one of the young up-and-comers. At the end of the day, Cincinnati's lack of an O-line is going to bite them in the butt. As I said before, giving up 9 sacks and still beating the Titans is voodoo magic.
Yeah.
It also helps that the Titans were playing like absolute garbage that game too. But I digress.
Nice for me.
Yeah, yeah. No. I think this is going to be redemption for 2018. I think the Rams get the championship. I believe Aaron Donald, Super Bowl MVP. I don't think it's going to be like a shootout. I think the defenses are going to step up, but I think it's going to be a solid game. Give me Rams 24, Bengals 16.
It's an interesting score. I'm not going to count out Joe Burrow. I'm just not. So I'm gonna say it goes to overtime, which would suck. But I'm gonna go with overtime. Bengals by 3.
Bengals by 3 in overtime.
Yep.
I mean, if it comes down to a last-second kick, McPherson's been automatic, so probably. I mean,
Hey, don't jinx it.
I want to jinx it.
Don't jinx
Cincinnati is Cincinnati is one of those teams that belongs in a legacy of failure. They can have their day one day, but not this year. This is the year for Matt Stafford, OBJ, Aaron Donald, and all those superstars on the Rams to finally get a ring, and for Von Miller to get a second.
Yeah, I know Broncos fans are rooting for the Rams for Von Miller.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I think this is going to be a hell of a Super Bowl.
I do too. It's the most likable Super Bowls we've had in a while.
It's one of those Super Bowls where both teams, you wouldn't be angry if both teams win.
Right.
I mean, with the Bengals, I think I'd be annoyed because it would set a trend, and a trend I really don't like. But it wouldn't be like, although, no, I think, yeah, it's I hoping for a good game. I'm hoping it gives us a lot to talk about though, because
I hope so.
It's the last football game for some time. Hey, the Pro Bowl's this weekend. Do we care? No. We should, but we don't.
It's just NBA All-Star, yeah, but Pro Bowl, no, I don't.
NHL All-Star, yeah, that too.
Yeah, that too.
Speaking of NHL All-Star, the All-Star break is right around the corner.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Which means we're about halfway through the NHL season. So who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup? Who's your early pick?
It's difficult because this year's been weird.
Yeah.
You go for who's your pick for the Stanley Cup? I'm curious.
I want to see Florida win it. I want to see the Panthers win.
Ew.
I want to see them do it.
Ew.
I want to see them do it.
Ew. No. Ew.
I want to see it happen and be so funny.
All right, fine. Panthers win the East, but who's going from the West?
That's a tough one. Because Jack Eichel is coming back for the Knights.
Yep.
Or not coming back, he's coming to the Knights. So I don't. That one's tough to say. Who do you have?
I have Tampa Bay and Colorado. I think that Florida, as good as Florida has been, Tampa Bay has that veteran experience. They have that. They're right on their ass right now. Like Tampa Bay is charging back up to the top of the Atlantic, and it's going to be a battle of Florida to see who takes home that division. And I think Tampa Bay is going to get it done.
I was picking between one of the two Florida teams.
I think that Colorado is in a class of its own out west. The Pacific Division is so stacked, and it's a bloodbath in the Pacific, and in the Midwest, basically Colorado's running the show. I would not be opposed to a 96 finals rematch, Colorado versus Florida, but I think it's going to be Tampa Bay and Colorado. But hey, we still have half a season to go. So
we do. We'll touch up on that later.
Speaking of All-Star Weekend, I do have the lineups for the All-Star game, if we want to go over them.
Yeah. Just
briefly. So for the Metropolitan Division, our forwards are going to be Sebastian Aho from Carolina, Claude Giroux from Philly, Jake Gunsel from Pittsburgh, Jack Hughes from New Jersey, Evgeny Kuznetsov from Washington. Let's go. Chris Kreider from the Rangers, Alex Ovechkin from Washington.
Of course.
Defenseman Adam Pellich from the Islanders and Zach Werenski from the Blue Jackets. Goaltenders Frederik Andersen from the Hurricanes and Tristan Jarry from Pittsburgh. For the Atlantic Division, our forwards, Patrice Bergeron from Boston, Jonathan Huberdeau from Florida, Dylan Larkin from Detroit. He's going to be the new face of the Red Wings.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews from Toronto.
Of course.
My boy Steven Stamkos from Tampa Bay. Nick Suzuki from Montreal. Surprised the Canadians even had some all-stars considering how terrible they are.
Right.
Yeah. Brady Kachuk from, why did they not have his team next to him? Oh, from Ottawa. Okay. That's why I didn't recognize him, because he plays for a poverty franchise. Defenseman Rasmus Dahlin from Buffalo, Victor Hedman from Tampa Bay, and our goalies Jack Campbell from Toronto and Andrei Vasilevsky from Tampa Bay.
Of course. So you're talking about poverty franchise, and the one that comes to mind is Arizona, who are going into a college arena with 5,000 seats.
Is that confirmed? Is that for this year or for next year?
I don't remember, but
I know they got locked out of their arena earlier. They actually have an all-star. Somehow they got Clayton Keller is in the all-star game for them. I don't know how.
it's Arizona. Like, I don't like, how are you this much of a joke?
A lot of it has to do with the fact that, I mean, it's just not a hockey place, you know.
Neither's California.
Well, California works because they see the thing that California works though is that, like, with hockey, if you can have success, prolonged success is going to help.
Yeah.
And the Coyotes have never had prolonged success. They have one conference finals appearance. You know, even when they were playing back in Winnipeg in the 70s and 80s, they did not have prolonged success. They always fell short in the playoffs. That, of course, was due to the fact that, you know, the Oilers and Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier, yeah, which a lot of teams in the 80s, that was their excuse. But yeah, I think the Coyotes are we could do an entire episode dedicated to the Coyotes and just how atrociously run that franchise is, and how they're most likely going to be moving to Houston probably, or I don't know, send them to Quebec. Let's get the Nordiques back.
Bring back the Nordiques. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's saying.
They should. Before we move on to another sport, just quickly finish up the all-star lineups. For the Central Division, our forwards are Kyle Connor from Winnipeg, Alex DeBrincat from Chicago, Nazem Kadri from Colorado, Kirill Kaprizov from Minnesota, Clayton Keller from Arizona. Again, how? Jordan Cairo from St. Louis, Joe Pavelski from Dallas, defenseman Roman Josie from Nashville, and Kale Maker from Colorado. Our goaltenders are Juicy Saros from Nashville and Cam Talbot from Minnesota. And in the Pacific, forwards, Leon Draisaitl from Edmonton, Jordan Eberle from Seattle. Hey, the Kraken did something good.
Finally.
Johnny Gaudreau from Calgary, Adrian Kemp from the Kings, Connor McDavid from Edmonton, Timo Meyer from San Jose, Mark Stone from Vegas, Troy Terry from Anaheim, defenseman Alex Pietrangelo from Vegas, goaltenders John Gibson from Anaheim, and Thatcher Demko from Vancouver. So, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I like the All-Star game for hockey, but one last thing that I wanted to mention is that the Flyers finally ending their 13-game losing streak.
Yeah.
They haven't won since 2021.
That's embarrassing.
Very. And this is their second double-digit losing streak this season.
And yet somehow they're not dead last in their division.
Yeah. You know who is? The Devils.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Who lost 6 straight.
Sorry, buddy. I know. It's okay. At least you can get cheap tickets whenever you go to their games.
Not even.
Really? What?
Not even that cheap.
Wait, how what's the cheapest tickets for, like,
Devils Flyers was $50?
Oh my gosh.
I went to the Sixers Grizzlies game Monday night, and that was $17 a ticket.
What?
That was cheap. I mean, the cheapest was $9 at that game. $9.
Man.
And the Sixers are second in the East now.
Wow. Well, that's what you gotta do. Like, I guess it makes sense, you know. I know teams probably are thinking like, we have to increase ticket prices because to make more revenue, but like, dude, if your team is good, make the tickets cheap and people will sell out every single game.
Every single
They
game.
will come. Like they will come. Like I know it probably won't be good for business, but if you're playing like 82 games a season and you sell out all of them, that's insane.
Yeah, it adds up. And then speaking of the NBA, I mean, I did go to that game, and I mean, my God, Maxey is special.
Did you happen to spot Ben Simmons by chance? Is he in the building or no?
Who?
Did you know he's being fined $19 million by the 76ers?
Yeah.
And he's gonna be fined $12 million more.
Yep.
It's get him out of the trade deadline's coming up. We're almost at the halfway point of the NBA season, and I still don't know where Ben Simmons is going.
No,
I know
one
everyone thought he was going to go to Atlanta, but then Cam Reddish got sent. Right, Cam Reddish got sent to Atlanta, so that filled their need. So
that's into New York. But it's annoying because, and when I was at the game, at the end, everybody was screaming "F Ben Simmons," and
never changed Philadelphia fans.
Never changed Philly. I love you. I love my city. But it's annoying because I want them to sign and trade for Harden in the offseason, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to waste Embiid's season.
Yeah,
because he's going off this year again.
I feel you there. I don't know what the Sixers should do, but I mean, I guess pursuing Harden is their best choice at this point.
Or honestly, just trade for role players and draft picks, and then trade those draft picks away. Like, get us players.
Yeah, like
keep Maxey, keep Curry, keep our core with Maxey, Curry, and Embiid. Obviously, Drummond, who's a great backup for Embiid. Trade the away people like obviously Ben Simmons or I love Danny Green, but you can trade Danny Green for a role player or something like that, and add draft picks from the Ben Simmons trade to get people. You don't have to outright trade Ben Simmons for a top 25 player, whatever they're trying to do.
I agree. Like I don't even think Ben Simmons is worth that at this point. I think that
people are forgetting how good he is on defense and playmaking.
I know he's good, but like, considering what he's done to damage his career at this point, I don't know.
He's damaged his image, but he's still a great player.
I don't doubt that. My fear is that this could turn into an Antonio Brown situation, which it probably won't, because Antonio Brown is way worse.
Yeah, he's not like situation. That. He's just,
I'm looking at this. I'm like, shh, I've seen this before. This better not be where I think it's going.
Nah, it's not.
I know this isn't related to Ben Simmons, but I have to ask a question. Kylie, where's Zion Williamson?
He is in an undisclosed location in Portland.
Why is he in Portland?
Because he's working on his injury. He's rehabbing, and one thing I've seen just a conspiracy theory, and leave it at a conspiracy theory is.
Oh, we do love a good conspiracy theory here.
Always, but what is in Portland is Nike's headquarters. So the theory is he, a crazy thing that he could do is have Nike rehab him and get him better and everything, and privately work with Nike themselves because he is under the Jordan tree, and just get out of New Orleans some way like that.
You could always just meet with Michael up there and like go to Charlotte.
That'd be funny.
Actually, why do I like that?
I know, right?
I shouldn't like Charlotte. I shouldn't like that, but I don't know. Right? The idea of him and LaMelo. Ooh,
love it. Yeah, I like that.
It would save the Hornets from being the franchise of eternal irrelevance in the NBA. Only other NBA news I think from the last week was they had a couple of injuries. LeBron James got sidelined with a knee injury, and I mean that's the least of the Lakers' problems right now.
Yeah, that's literally
Have,
my cousin went to the game where he was supposed to play, but he wasn't.
have you watched the Lakers game? Have you watched just
Yeah,
how
I watched the
atrociously?
Sixers. I watched the Sixers Lakers game. Yeah,
I watched it with you. Have you seen just how undisciplined
atrocious.
and atrocious the Lakers are? Like
Yeah,
it's like wow, it's almost as if getting a bunch of superstars with clashing personalities to play on the same team doesn't always work. Wow,
yeah,
who could have known?
all of us.
Yeah. The only other injury was Bradley Beal having a big wrist sprain. How do I gotta say though? Injuries have really hurt me watching the NBA this year.
Yeah,
My fantasy basketball team right now is like half of my roster's on injured reserve, and the other half are all bums. So, Lonzo, please come back. I need you.
oh Alonzo. And Bradley Beal is out with a wrist sprain.
Yeah.
So that's people are joking that he's not really having. He doesn't really have that, and he's gonna get traded.
To where though?
Philly or Boston?
I think I like him in Boston better.
Of course you do, because you hate me.
I
want him in
hate
Philly.
you.
I'll take you in Philly, Bradley Beal. We'll love you. I will buy your jersey the second it goes on sale. Please.
Before we head on to Goobers of the Week, briefly let's touch up on the world of baseball, where nothing much is happening right now because there's still the lockout, and now spring training might be delayed.
It's gonna be delayed. They keep meeting and they keep disagreeing.
At this rate, Kylie, I'm just gonna actually do something I don't do, which is actually buy a video game and play it. I'm gonna get the show 22 now at this point, so I can just have play the season out.
Yeah, the show is an SHO for Shohei Ohtani, who's on the cover.
Did that surprise anybody?
Not a single person.
Not at all.
And Nintendo is so stupid.
Nintendo is stupid?
Nintendo is stupid because the MLB was supposed to release the Legend Edition or whatever today. And Nintendo actually released it, and it's Derek Jeter that's on the cover.
I mean, he is a legend.
Yeah, of course he's a legend, but you ruined the let's see if they actually announced it on the show's Instagram. But literally he was supposed to MVP edition is Ohtani. Oh wait, no, it's not. Yes, it is. And it's just, you're really gonna ruin the announcement.
I mean, it's Nintendo. It's just Nintendo. What they say goes. We have to bow down to our overlords anyway.
I'm still gonna get the game. I'm excited for it.
I don't play video games a lot, but now that I'm moving out and I'm getting my own system, I might as well.
You definitely should.
Yeah. Does it allow crossplay?
Yeah, cross platform, cross like everything. You can play it on one system and save it and play it again on another system.
Good. That works. Yeah. That works fine. I might actually go ahead and get it. I've never played one of the MLB The Shows. My brother had one. I think the show 16 when we were kids, but I've been trying to get back into more gaming to try and get better at understanding the business aspect of sports. It turns out video games are really good at helping you understand that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But at the moment, nothing really happening in baseball right now. Just lockout. That leads us into Goobers of the Week, of course, which, as always, is going to be Rob Manfred.
Get your shit together, Manfred.
I was going to put all the players involved in the Brian Flores lawsuit, but I think we've decided to, wait until more information comes out.
Yep.
So absolutely. I guess our main Goober of the Week, other than Rob Manfred, is going to be Jackson Mahomes. Hold this L.
And Brittany.
You goofy Goobers. Just... Oh, it's gonna be so nice not seeing you in the Super Bowl. And I like the Chiefs. I really would have. I love
Mahomes.
Everyone loves Pujols. He's got to stop doing too much. But
And Big Red. I love Andy Reid as an Eagles fan.
Man, I want baseball back.
Yep. Me too. This concludes this week's episode of the Sportsgasm podcast. As always, thank you so much for watching. And thank you, Eric, for hopping on. If you liked what you heard, tune in next week and maybe check out that support button to help us out so we can grow and improve. You can
Please
watch
check it
this.
out.
Yes, you can watch this whole thing on YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at the Sportsgasm Pod. And we will be asking you future questions and posting them on the socials. See you guys next week. It's going to be awesome.
It's been a pleasure talking to everybody once again. See you guys next week. Be sure to follow us on all social media and interact with us. We love to hear from you guys. We would love to talk to you guys. Maybe we might invite some of you onto the show. We're always looking for fans to talk to.
Absolutely. This podcast is for the fans, by the fans.
Right. That is true. All right. Everyone have a good rest of your day. I got to go get ready for work.